Welcome. This is a short instructional video on how to install Indicee Analytics for Salesforce Chatter. Like all certified Salesforce apps, Indicee Analytics for Chatter installs directly from the App Exchange. You can access this by clicking Add App Exchange Apps on your Force.com Apps menu, located in the top right corner of your screen. Once at the App Exchange, the fastest way to find Indicee Analytics for Chatter is to type the word Indicee into the app's search bar at the top of the page. Click on the Indicee Analytics for Chatter link to navigate to the home page for the app, and then click on Get It Now. To start installation, simply click Log into the App Exchange and log in with your Salesforce administrator's credentials to proceed. You can choose to install into your production system or test in a sandbox. Indicee Analytics for Salesforce Chatter is a read-only application and can never alter or harm your data. Accept the terms and conditions and click Confirm and Install to continue. You'll be prompted to log into your Salesforce org. Remember to use your Sandbox login credentials if you chose a Sandbox installation. Review the package installation details screen and click Continue when you're ready. Approve the API access for the package. Remember that the Indicee app is read-only and cannot harm your data. The default API permissions shown are necessary for application functionality. Choose your security levels for deployment. You can select to deploy this app to admins only, all users, or selectively based on user role. This can be changed later. Click on Install to continue. When finished, you should see the Install Complete screen. All you have to do now is configure and provision the app for you and your users. You have a new option on your Force.com Apps menu. Select Indicee Analytics for Chatter to begin. Click the Indicee Analytics Setup tab to provision your first account. It's important to complete this portion of the installation using your system administrator's credentials. This step will create an analytics account using your Salesforce login ID and assign a random password to that account. Click Setup to begin. Like most applications in the Salesforce App Exchange, Indicee Analytics for Chatter needs access to some of your organization's data in order to analyze it for you. Indicee transfers only small amounts of data related to Chatter from your Salesforce org to a secure analytic database hosted by Amazon Web Services. This is done using an encrypted transmission to ensure the privacy and safety of your data. For complete information on our security policies, please see the details page on our App Exchange listing. Just click Allow when you're ready to move on. Select the latest version of Indicee Analytics for Chatter. Select which of the app's 7 dashboards you'd like to have appear when you first open the app. Select your time zone. These are read from your Salesforce user profile. Then click Start Installation. After a few moments, the provisioning will have completed. At this point, you can then close the browser tab that was opened by the configuration app. Click on the Indicee Analytics for Chatter tab in Salesforce to log in and see your Chatter data displayed in your new dashboards. You'll need a user ID and password to begin. You should have already received an email from Indicee Apps with this information. If you haven't, check your spam or junk mail folders. They sometimes end up there. This user ID and password are required to authenticate you to the analytics platform and are required only once during each Salesforce login session. If you'd like to unify your Salesforce login with the analytics using single sign-on, we'll explain how to do so later in this video. Adding more users to the system is simple. Unless you configure single sign-on, discussed later in this video, each user will require a password to authenticate to the analytics platform. Each user has permission to use the app, logs in, uses the Force.com Apps menu to select Indicee Analytics for Salesforce Chatter, and then each user will click the link to configure their account. Select their time zone, and then watch their inbox for an email from Indicee Apps with their login credentials. Don't forget to check your spam or junk mail folders if you don't get it right away. Once you've completed the installation and provisioning steps, configuring Indicee Analytics for Chatter to use single sign-on is a relatively simple multi-step process. This demonstration involves using Salesforce.com as your identity provider and requires that you complete it using your Salesforce System Administrator's login credentials. If you're using a third-party identity provider, please consult our installation manual for further details. The first 3 steps walk you through configuring My Domain in Salesforce.com. Step 1 is domain setup and involves choosing a domain name for your organization, checking its availability, and then registering that domain. If you've already configured Salesforce as your identity provider, as my demonstration system shows, you can skip through to Step 4. Note that it can take 1 to 3 days after completion of Step 1 to receive confirmation from Salesforce that your domain is ready to go. You can continue to use the app with your login ID and password until that time. In Step 2, you'll test and deploy the domain to your users and configure your security policies around it. Step 3 involves setting Salesforce.com as your identity provider, allowing it to create trust relationships with third parties like Indicee Analytics for Chatter. Once you've confirmed deployment of your domain to your org, then follow the steps to set up Indicee as a service provider to your Salesforce org. I find it handy to have Salesforce open in 2 different browser tabs to complete this step. Type in the service provider name, copy and paste the ACS URL, copy and paste the entity ID, and select username as your subject type. Click Save when you're done. Review and select the user profiles that are to have access to this service provider, and click Save when you're ready to move on. The final step is to upload your identity provider metadata to Indicee to complete the trust relationship. In Salesforce Setup, under Security Controls, select Identity Provider and click Download Metadata. Remember where you saved the file. You'll need it to upload. Select Choose File, locate your metadata file, and click the Submit button to complete the transaction. Your single sign-on setup is now complete. You can exit and close all open browser tabs and sessions and log back into Salesforce. This time, when you click on Indicee Analytics for Chatter, you won't need a second login. If you need further assistance, please contact us directly at support@indicee.com or by dialing 1-888-681-3840. Thanks very much for joining us.